What up? Welcome to the official DoD Podcast.
Presents the official DoD Podcast. The only place where dads can be 100% correct 100% of the time. Don't tell your mother.
What up? Welcome to episode 14 of the official DoD Podcast. I'm your host, TwoLoudtx. Here with me today, my co-host and Guardian Slayer himself, Nolxero. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. You know, drop the heroes, get with the zero. Been enjoying a lot of Destiny this week, so got 2 characters up to 30. Working on the last one.
Hey, good job, David. Good job.
Congrats.
Thank you, Pope.
Yeah.
That's kind of a sarcastic good job, I think, from Pope because he has 3. So he's like, "Oh, good,
No,
you got 2."
I meant it.
Of the same
David,
character.
David and I are in agreement that he is not. I am not sarcastic with him at all.
All right.
It sounded
Well,
sincere.
Something like that.
I know one thing that you do to all of us, and that is, you like to take your chips and crunch in all of our ears during the week, and me and Hambone and the Savvy guys had some fun with that this week, joking around. But the man that likes to share his chip crunching with his party, the co-founder Dads of Destiny, that's Popebear.
You know, a hard day of gaming. You require sustenance, and I apologize if my energy needs offend your ears, but I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna eat. It's a lot of work, so I did a lot of that actually this week, and I think I've done the raid, I don't know, 5 or 6 times now, and I'm ready for a new one. I'll tell you that.
Well, and although we might complain about your chip crunching, at least we know you're there if you're crunching in the background and haven't fallen asleep. So that's a good thing.
That's good.
Well,
that's a good point.
After hours and hours of dealing with his local internet provider, the man that is always on point, as he says, finally returning back to push the darkness. What's up, Mr. Hambone? How you doing?
Oh, I'm rolling in the lap of luxury, gentlemen. 100 megabytes down, or megabits, excuse me, to you techies out there. But, I'm just saying, I'm up there with the big dogs now, so...
I don't know, man. I'm at 220 up, so 200 down, 20 up. I think you're kind of slacking.
I think
Well,
you're just
I'm
making up
living
numbers
high
now.
here.
Yeah, I think you just pulled out some. I got 300 down and like 75
I'm at
up.
75,000 down.
Yeah, well,
I'm living the life of luxury with AT&T Uverse here. 12 down, 1 up. Thank you very much.
Oh, big leagues.
Thank you very much.
In Umbaba.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, last but not least, we have a very special guest with us today. The man that literally will scold you if you mention cheesing in any raid.
No.
The raid leader from Dungeon Protocols, Mr. Andy. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going? That's not entirely true. It's mostly because in my raid group, there's about 3 of us who basically abhor cheesing. And then there's 3 others that seem to really like it. So I'm the one that puts up a stink about it and makes sure that we keep our noses clean as much as possible.
I told you I wouldn't tell everybody, but I'm going to tell everybody. We actually got you to cheese with us with the
Oh,
Level 29.
yes.
I know.
Yes, we
Boom.
did.
So that's my claim with Andy is I actually got him to cheese and
Andy-
give in. Peer
And not
pressure,
only,
Andy.
Not only did I cheese with you, but I was very cooperative and urged it on. I said, "Well, let's
Yeah.
go back. Let's go back up here and try this one. Let's keep going."
Yeah. Well, I will say that it was probably one of the only ways you're going to get through that raid.
Yeah. No,
So,
definitely. Absolutely.
Sometimes it just happens that
No,
way.
it's fine.
You don't get good rolls and you have to do it. Well, we appreciate you being participant
Yeah.
and cooperating with helping us get some new dads through the raid. So thanks so much for that. Well, guys, in case you didn't hear, speak of Dads of Destiny, we hit 20,000 members this week.
What?
So that is insane. I don't think me or Pope or any of the admin originally ever thought that the Alliance would get to that size. Let alone, we didn't even think of an Alliance at first. We thought it was just going to be its own little clan, and it turned into Alliance. And, as part of the admin team, I remember when we hit 500, Pope was saying earlier, he remembers when we hit 20 members.
It was crazy.
So-
I mean, we just thought that it was a group of guys that were going to get together and play Destiny when it came out, and look what it turned into.
Well, Mr. Adam, a.k.a. alias Killer _ Adam from the UK, was our 20,000th member. God, that's not easy to get out, 20,000th member.
Right.
So, guys, jump over to dadsofdestiny.net and see the interview that our admins put together. And Deep Fried Dave actually put an article together and asked him some questions. So check over there and take a look at that. It's pretty awesome article and pretty awesome feat that we got there. Also, while you're checking out that article, don't forget to subscribe and register on the site so that you guys don't miss any of the Dads of Destiny goodness that we got. For example, we have a special stream going on during the Dark Below when it comes out from Captain Marble 42. And he'll also be doing that on December 10th. Sure. Also, along with Andy and some of the other guys from Dungeon Protocols, he'll be doing it. But one of the Dads of Destiny guys will be doing it there. And so don't wait to get home and see some Dark Below. Definitely check out all the Twitch streams that day. I'm sure everybody's going to be trying to get some Twitch out there. So if you're stuck at work, officially waste some time, right, guys? So waste some time at work and catch up on some of the action before you get home. And believe it or not, Uncle Miggs, one of the original guys here on the show, is actually going to be making an appearance with Captain Marble 42 during that time. So also, guys, on December 17th, if you're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we are going to be doing an event in Fort Worth, a little Destiny gathering per se, and it's actually going to be at the Flying Saucer in Fort Worth, Texas, on December 17th. And so, guys, definitely, it's called Tex Guard 2014 is what we're calling it, and the guys from Destiny Dispatch and some of the guys from Reddit, Cosmo, and some of those other guys are actually going to be making an appearance there. So jump over there if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on December 17th and grab a drink with us. And speak of beverages, let's grab our beverages of choice and get started with episode 14.
Bottles up, Guardians.
Please drink responsibly. Silly kids, drinking is for adults only. Don't drink and ride your Sparrow. Drinking has been known to increase your aim. Individual crucible results may vary. If you have a buzz lasting longer than 4 hours, contact the speaker immediately. No lawyers were harmed in the making of this disclaimer.
All right, guys, so the Bottles Up list should be up on the website sometime this week, so just check over there and see your own suggestions listed there on the website, along with some fellow members' suggestions. And Andy, what are you popping the top on over there today?
All right. Well, I have a special drink today. It's a local brewed birch beer, actually, called Fox and Park Birch Beer, because I actually don't drink, but I do love a root beer and a birch beer. So straight off their website, Fox and Park is a family-owned and operated business in East Haven, and I'm in New Haven, for over 90 years. So they use real sugar, and their soda uses like real spices, and they brew it here. So if you're into good sodas, pick them up.
You're a fan of root beer?
Root beer and birch beer.
Oh my
man.
God!
So I've never had. What is a birch beer though? This is very interesting to me because I'm a huge soda fan, soda fan. So what is birch beer?
Oh man, that's good. It's so birch tree.
Yeah.
Birch. It's basically like if you've ever smelled that bark. It's like a root beer basically, but they use the birch tree to like season it, and so it tastes a lot like a root beer, but it's got kind of this more earthy taste to it.
No, Zero, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to try this. I actually want to try this now.
If you send me your address after this, and I'll mail you one. I'll mail you a birch beer.
Everybody can see Pope's face. He's so disgusted that we're talking about sodas.
But-
so
What
dude,
the hell is this?
I don't know. Andy, I don't know if you were a Surge fan back in the day, but I actually bought a couple cases of Surge from Amazon like last week or the week before, and I have been enjoying the crap out of
That's
some
so fun.
Surge.
Yeah, I used to drink
So-
that when I was a little kid.
Oh man, I was so happy. I have a long story about that, but I'll
his
share that
taste,
another
but,
time.
but Troy, his tastes have matured now, and he's
Right,
on
the
to
operative
different
word
drinks.
was kid.
Hey, dude, Surge is a great drink.
Okay.
All right. It's,
Okay.
it's
You
fantastic.
see
In
Andy's
fact,
over there drinking like a sophisticated
fantastic.
birch beer,
Yeah.
and then there's
Yeah.
Troy who's like, "Oh,
I'm-
Surge!"
If you started off with some birch drink, I might be okay
Hey.
with this.
I had
What's
actually
Surge?
had no, because I actually had a really good root beer that was imported root beer that I tried on the show like
All
I
right.
don't
That's
know
right.
8 episodes ago,
Right.
and you just looked at me with that same disgusted face that you have right now. And
What
it
is
laughed at
going
me.
on right
I
now?
don't
What are
know,
you
man.
talking
I'm wondering where we're going. Bottles up,
So-
more like what button do I press on the
Well,
soda fountain?
Oh my gosh. Well, Andy,
Basically, I'm
thank
never
you for
being up.
sharing that with me. I am actually very interested, and I'm gonna have to try me some birch beer. And that is an awesome choice. And you said locally, where are you? Where are you at? Where it would be
I'm
local?
New Haven, so this is like Southern Connecticut, basically.
Okay,
So,
cool.
and I'm sorry for derailing your bottles up. We probably never get invited back, right?
no.
Well, at least if
I-
it was up to Pope, no.
Yeah.
Well, Pope, tell us what's in your sophisticated bottle or glass this evening.
You know, I'm going back to my college days. I went to school at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, which is right on the west coast of California, central coast of California, and there's an area there called Paso Robles, and it's very very well known for its Zinfandels and some lighter red wines. But that's what I'm having tonight. It's actually the West Side selection, so it's a very specific region or terroir. So it doesn't matter. It's a beautiful red wine, and I'm enjoying it.
So notice.
That's
You're a
sophisticated.
beautiful man.
in his big wine glass.
That's pretty freaking sophisticated. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, Nolxero, what are you enjoying over there in Austin, Texas today?
All right, this is actually off a recommendation from one of our users. It's called Independence Brewing Company. It's in Austin, Texas, and it's called the Convict Hill. It's a oatmeal stout. I've never had an oatmeal-based beer. It's a darker beer, creamy. So it's interesting. I've never had a beer that tastes like this before, so I'm enjoying it so far.
Dark and creamy. There you go, Hambone.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
You like
I
that
like where this
combination,
is
right?
headed. I like where this is headed.
Well, Hambone, tell us a little bit about what are you drinking this evening?
I'm double fisting it tonight. Just still
Oh, man.
cleaning up a little bit of this Thanksgiving cheer, if you will. So I have a little bit of the Bullet Rye. No Jack tonight, but I do love me some good rye, and this is 95 proof. So this bad boy is not for the faint
Is
of
it a
heart.
bargain buy? Is it Hambone?
Is it
bargain
on
buy?
point?
Oh heck yeah, It's a bargain buy because of the fact that you can pick it up at Safeway for like less than $25. And you don't need that much. Like honestly, if you want to be sophisticated, put a couple cubes of ice in a glass, a little splash of whiskey. You're good to
That
go.
makes it
Right.
sophisticated.
If
I
you
love
sip
that.
it
Is it
slowly,
on
it
Your
makes it
bargain buys are going
sophisticated.
up here, though. You know, we started with like $3 or $4, $6 options. Now you're saying under $25.
Well, I'm just keeping it because I know most of our fan base here is they're actually working people, so I'm sure that they have like $20 to spend. Unlike myself, so I'm like I'll step it up a little bit, but don't worry. This Bullet is definitely on point, and I'm sharing it with this Black Butte Porter, which I already told you last week is just ridiculous.
And it's on point.
It's on point.
On
So
point.
you're throwing the whole concept of beer before liquor, never been sicker,
That
you're
question,
you're
that whole
just going back and
adage-
forth, right?
Yeah, well,
He's like,
no,
forget
I
all
started,
research
the first
that's been
sip
done.
was liquor, so I did adhere to the rules, and then
Okay.
immediately after that, I followed it with beer. That's
Okay,
normal.
so you're fine then.
And he's just doing that over and over and
Right,
over.
I'm just doing that over and over again.
All right,
Rinse and
good.
repeat.
That makes total sense. I'm
Uh,
sorry.
His
I
stomach
asked.
right now, it looks like when those kids pour the sand candy into the tube, the different colors. That's what his stomach looks
Oh,
like.
man.
Just layered in different colors of
I
alcohol.
can't wait. It's
Oh,
gonna be
wow.
good coming out too.
I am actually trying something that a friend here locally suggested to me. It's called Third Shift, and it is out of Fort Worth, Texas, and it's made by the Band of Brewers Company. And as I mentioned last week, I love the amber lagers, and this is an amber lager, so I picked this up at the store, and I'm enjoying it. It's very, very, very tasty per se, and I've never had anything. I guess from the Band of Brewers Brewing Company, and
I like that name.
I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool, like retro label. You know what I mean? So I don't
You gotta
know.
make sure you
it
take
tastes
a
great.
picture of that thing because I want to see what it looks like.
One
Yeah, I'll
sexy
have to.
brown
It's
bottle.
yeah, it's really good. I'm enjoying it. So there you go. Another local. You got Nolxero down in Austin trying some local breweries, and Hambone obviously going
West
nationwide with his with his whiskey selections.
Well,
Going
yeah,
ham
but
fisted.
he was from Oregon though, so it's West Coast. It's up
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, Pope's keeping it local at least.
Yeah, he's
and,
keeping it local.
and I'm keeping it local. So it's a lot of local beverages going around, along with Andy's birch
Oh yeah.
root beer or birch beer that I got to try out. So
Time out before we move on. Zero, you forgot to tell us. Are you having any kind of reaction to this beer?
it's too early for that, man.
Right?
You
Yeah,
popped the top.
I just started
Just
it.
popped it?
I just popped it right as we started the podcast.
So you're gonna need to update
nothing
us.
yet. I will.
All right,
I'll let you
keep
know.
us updated.
So Andy, in case you don't know, we are testing beers on Nolxero, and he's taking suggestions from the community based on a reaction that he has to alcohol. So
Right.
he has allergic reaction to alcohol, and he gets like all rashy and
Right.
Terrible.
really, really hot, and so we're judging if the beer's good enough to actually have a reaction. So if he just stops talking, it's probably not that great of a beer. But
Right.
if he makes it through the show, it's typically a decent beer.
Well, if he stops
by his
talking, we just
standards.
remove him from the Skype, right? And we-
Right.
Yeah.
He's
Keep
reaching
going.
for his EpiPen at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't need to
not our
worry about
concern.
No.
Yeah, not our concern.
not our
Hey,
concern.
He's literally out of sight right now. So he's
Right.
out of
Right.
mind, so.
There you go. That's a smart
Well,
guy right there.
hmm
Well, this week we had a ton of updates coming from Deej. He gave us multiple posts, 3 main posting fulls of updates and changes to the game. And first off, to start it was the Destiny update on 12/1/2014, 1.1, the one about exotics and the raid, he says. So obviously the title says it all. But basically, there is a long list of the weapons and the exotics that take place here. And basically, he says a long-awaited arrival of the exotic weapon buff, additional acquisition pass for destination upgrade materials, with additional changes to exotic gear, node upgrading, and preparation for the soon-to-be-released expansion, The Dark Below. So basically, he goes in here and tells us how they've modified a lot of weapons that we've heard about for a long time, like Thorn and Juju and everything else. And so I'll run down a couple of these real quick, and you guys tell me, maybe it's a weapon you've been enjoying or you were not enjoying previously, and now you are enjoying after the changes. But let's they even went as far to change some of them as the sound, some of the sounds, and so
Yeah.
his main statement here was exotic weapons are meant to look awesome, they're supposed to feel awesome, and sound awesome, and be able to be, I guess, really distinctive in the game, but not break the
Yeah.
game, and not overpower somebody that maybe doesn't have an exotic. It doesn't necessarily put them at a disadvantage in a PvP sense, or even in a PvE sense, just because they weren't able to get an exotic. But that there's that claim, like, hey, look, I have an exotic, and here you can hear when I'm shooting it next to you that it's different,
Oh yes.
So, which
Sure,
we
sounds
know.
different.
Yeah, we know Hambone loves the sound of weapons. I mean, he drooled over the icebreaker for the longest time just based on
yeah.
how it sounded. So
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
beautiful one.
yeah, so and it's distinctive. Some of those guns, that the Vex, some of these other guns, you definitely know when you hear them, in the game. And so, anyways, let's run down a few of these real quick. Obviously, in preparation, they made a lot of changes to them. And I know Hambone and Andy are going to jump in here because when I was mentioning these changes to them prior to the recording of the podcast here, they had some words to say, but no longer do these upgrades require ascendant materials to upgrade. which is true and not true, right? I mean, you don't have to have all the ascendant materials like in the last, like whatever, typically it's like the last 4 or 5 bubbles, right, to upgrade it.
Right.
3 bubbles,
and,
3.
And so now you have, basically a exotic shard or material that you have to use. And the only way to get these exotic shards, the only way they can be obtained is dismantling unwanted exotics. So for Pope, that's not a problem, but maybe for somebody like me or Nolxero, where we don't have 2 or 3 of everything, we have to decide what we're going to do here, or you purchase them from Xur for 7 coins. So everybody's going to be just spending all their coins at Xur. I think no one's going to be holding on to them for the next week anymore, especially if you buy like a piece of gear that you want and you're like, you got to have an exotic shard to level it up. So Thorn is the first one here on his list, and this is one I've been looking for a long time because I love hand cannons.
Yes.
There's multiple things they changed on it, but the main 2 things that were so different that made Thorn so bad were how long it took to reload the gun, and that it only had 4 bullets, 5 bullets before? 6 bullets. So that's all it had for a hand cannon, and you had the Hawkmoon has 12,
And the
13.
fire and the
Hawkmoon
fire
is
rate.
13,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Wow.
The worst thing about it is that you couldn't use it in PvP, and it was irrelevant in PvE. I mean, there was no place for it. It just good.
I have to interject because it was my favorite PvP gun for a long time.
Really?
You obviously don't have a Hawkmoon.
I do have a Hawkmoon.
Wow. Okay.
But
I don't know how
to
you
hear
made
more.
that comparison or that choice.
I just really liked it because it was kind of a tactical weapon where you could use it to kind of track people because the dot would stay on them and you could see where they were ticking. And also it kept their shields down and kind of played mind games with them, I think. So I really liked it for that aspect. I thought it was kind of a interesting gun to use. And I think that ties in with the whole exotic should feel overpowered, but not be overpowered.
So
And it was
that's-
like a 2-shot kill, right?
No,
No.
I think it was a
No.
3-shot.
Yeah,
3
3
shots.
I think
'Cause
I think what I found when I used it, I now that you actually mentioned that, I think what I found most valuable as a support player when I was running my Defender Titan, sticking around the mid range of the map, midpoint of the map between A and B on a control point, and putting as many shots on players, like not trying to kill them, but identify them and call out
Absolutely.
them. So I guess I did use it in that way. I found that it was useful in a tactical weapon, but I guess my need to kill things overwhelmed me, so I stopped
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
Well, I
just-
used it for a long time because I didn't have a Hawkmoon. I still
There you
don't
go.
have a Hawkmoon.
Me
And
either.
so I used it for
Yeah.
quite a while. And what's funny is I used hand cannons in the beta and the alpha a lot, and everybody's like, they suck. And I used them, and I had great KD, ratio in that as well. And in fact, if you want to go back and look at the records, I actually beat Pope in the beta. So I actually had a better KD than him, believe it or not.
Yeah, but
So-
even when they left the beta, they did changes to the hand cannons because they even recognized that they were underpowered in the beta.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So
Yeah, but Troy was definitely the first person.
Yeah, but
out of
Troy
you
has a
guys that told me.
natural ability at first person shooters. I've always had this thing with him. Like I have to work at my skill in first person shooters. His is more of a natural skill at first person.
yeah, but
shooters.
if you take me to most RPGs or like when we play League of Legends, I gotta ask Nolxero all the time. Okay, hey, what gear do I buy here? Like, what do I do? Because it's just not my game. But I do love first person shooters for sure.
So Troy, when you play, do you play au natural? Is that what we're hearing here?
birthday suit, yeah, all the way.
In the
Florida birthday
nude,
suit.
my friends, just laying there on my beanbag.
Sometimes
Get
Troy and I
ready for
just
those
get into
streams,
a
guys.
Skype chat, and we put on the videos, and we just go
Couple
from there.
slow jams. Yeah.
I'm just saying a little bit of Marvin Gaye.
Lay your head on my pillow. Boom,
No.
boom, boom. Anyways,
Please
and
forgive
so the next gun we got here is Bad Juju, which I don't own, but I will
I
let
own it.
I know Nolxero and Pope own it. I don't know
And
if you own it or
Hambone.
not, Andy, but
I
you
do,
guys tell me what are the changes? What really happened here?
They actually made it from being irrelevant. I think that if you look at this list, and we can tick down them, but I think the goal, and they succeeded on many of them, was to take them from being irrelevant to relevant, and on the ones that they buffed at least. And from Bad Juju, I see something that was, I really didn't want to rank up and I didn't want to use,
It
and
was
now
worthless.
I find
Yeah.
myself using it, and mainly because of the string of curses. I think that is extremely
Which
powerful.
is
It now so when you get a kill, you don't have to reload. You just basically have an infinite ammo magazine. So
Plus,
you just keep shooting.
And along
Yeah.
with that, you get super energy, extra
Right.
super energy,
a significant portion.
and you get
too.
a damage bonus too. I think to extrapolate on what Pope's saying too is like, I think what they did successfully with this patch was make it so the exotics were more relevant, but also more compartmentalized. So like, Bad Juju's really good for like taking out a lot of weak ads. Like if you have a lot of thralls, like you can just go forever killing these thralls, and it's going to be like the best weapon for that. But then it might not be so good with like a boss fight where there's nothing's going to die, right?
right.
But like, you know, then some of the other weapons have been buffed or changed to fill these other roles. So it kind of makes you think maybe a little bit more about your loadout instead of just being like, well, Suros regime works for everything, so I'll just use
Right.
that all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
So I think that's they're in the right direction. You know, I think they're
Yeah, I think, obviously Thorn was cool because it has, the damage over time and how it looked. Bad Juju's cool because it has like the skull at the end of it, right? And that's like
Bad
reading
Juju's the
fire.
coolest looking gun in the game.
They took away the skull from the reticle, so that it doesn't block the
Well, they
it
took
doesn't
the
block the
flame
sight
animation
picture.
But it's still on
down
the end
as
of the
well.
gun, right?
Right.
It's still like on the end of the barrel.
Yeah, it's
right,
still
of the
on
gun,
there.
so-
It's still flames. It's the coolest looking gun in the game, and I'll say, I actually was so excited about the changes to Bad Juju that I made a YouTube video that's not up yet because I had hardware issues, which I'll tell you all about later. But I made
Sounds
a
like a
review
personal problem.
because I'm so happy about Bad Juju. It's awesome in PvP, man. It is such an awesome weapon in PvP now.
Well, one weapon that was not awesome in PvP that they finally increased was hard light. So, I mean, if you had hard light, it was garbage.
Yeah.
And so I haven't used it, but they did a stability increase and perfect balance, which is basically increase stability again. So, hopefully, that gun's better. Suros regime actually got lowered, right? It got nerfed.
slightly, yeah.
I'm okay with the nerf.
Necessary though.
Yeah, but I don't like that they're bringing it more in line with legendary auto rifles,
Well,
because it's not a legendary auto rifle. It's
Well,
it's
you're
an
right.
exotic.
the
Well,
type the way that they dealt the way they dealt with a very serious problem was that the bonus on the bottom half of the clip was actually changed, and it was a fairly large clip to begin with.
Yeah, 33.
I found myself starting a PvP match, I would empty half the clip to the ground as I ran out of spawn,
Right.
and
That's what you did.
and basically you would have 15 rounds of super ammo that would beat any a scout rifle at medium range, and
Right.
definitely
Part of the meta, my friend. Part of the meta.
Yeah.
The cyclical
last-
meta.
The last shot in the magazine was double damage. It was 62 headshot. That's just
Holy
Wow.
crap.
that's better than any auto rifle.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't bring it in line with legendaries. They just made it where it wasn't the go-to multiplayer weapon anymore.
you're starting to see more. The more PvP you're playing right now, the more guns you're seeing in the kill screen, and I
Right, which
think
is a good thing, yeah.
ultimately is a mark of success for this update.
Right, absolutely.
And I think that's what we're seeing here.
Can't wait for more too.
Yeah, well, Monte Carlo got some increases. So for those of you that are on the PS4, you get to see that. Hawkman got an increase. The multi-tool got an increase. It basically for knockback against targets, which is really good for
Yeah, that's one
for
of your
that.
faves, right, Troy?
Yeah, I love that gun. Red Death, which we all know Bife loves to death. I think Pope started using it, and he loves that gun as well. He thinks it's a great gun.
I like
it.
it.
The main thing on
Although the changes they made to Red Death, I think, yeah, I really think that they did more harm than they should have. So
It's
personally,
yeah. Yeah.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Red Death also basically gives you health as you shoot somebody, and they nerfed that a little bit, essentially, right? I mean, that was the goal
I
of
think
it.
they weakened it too. I think they weakened it to the point where, in my personal opinion, I think they weakened Red Death to make it something that I wouldn't choose in PvP, and maybe in PvE. So they took it out of one category and slid it to another.
So
I
they
agree.
nerfed Plan C, and then now they give Plan C a buff, right? I mean, originally they nerfed it too much, and then now they give it a buff.
Wait,
Is that correct?
when did they nerf Plan C? I don't think they ever.
Or was it Pocket Infinity they
They
nerfed?
nerfed
Pocket
Pocket
Infinity.
Infinity.
Pocket
Infinity.
Infinity
Yeah.
got a buff, and now Pocket Infinity's broken, and they actually recognized it. I think yesterday.
Yep, they
Yeah.
sent
Okay.
a message out that said, "Yes, we know we messed up."
Yeah, it's
Wow.
because it's completely broken. I mean, people can fire that thing so fast, and it's a one-shot kill. So
Well, because they gave it speed load upgrade, and so people can just reload and run around. I mean,
Right,
man,
as if you couldn't
that's
already
crazy.
do that with Plan C. It's already like boom, you know what I mean? You switch to it and it's up and ready to fire. And now there's weapon handling increase. So
Oh, that is one thing
strafes.
I did notice last week playing some PvP is like, man, people weren't even like using primaries; they're running around with
Fusion rifles.
fusion
those
rifles the
Plan
whole
C
time.
arenas. It was crazy.
They
That's
actually had. I actually thought sarcastically, of course, thought I had joined a PvP fusion rifle only arena because
You
literally
didn't know that
for
playlist? They added a playlist.
Right.
That's the one they
Yeah.
added.
fusion only,
Right.
and I think it's called Control, Rumble, Pit. Yeah.
And that's like the other problem too, is they need to take out some of that special ammo. There's just too much.
I think
I
so
just
too.
said
I
that
think
to somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah, I
talking
think
about Found
green-
Verdict, and I'm like,
it's just too easy
Found
to get
Verdict's just as
special
good as
ammo.
effective. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it
I think they should move secondary to like more of a tactical decision. Like, okay, I need to use my shotgun here, or you need to use my fusion rifle instead of I can run around with my shotgun the entire game.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
no,
if
I
they
agree.
just took it away from the outskirts of the boards and put it in the high combat areas where it would be
Well,
contested.
here's the deal, right?
more.
The difference in this game and what it's compared to so much Halo is that the weapons, you're not fighting for weapons on the map, but instead what they did is now you're fighting for ammo on the map. Essentially, that's how it's supposed to be.
For heavy
but there's
ammo.
no
Yeah.
but there's no fight for anything else. It's only heavy, and that's a
it's only
problem. You take Halo, you're fighting for a sniper, you're fighting for the shotgun, you're fighting for the rocket launcher.
Right,
You know,
but
there-
here,
there's
as soon
all
as you
these
spawn,
weapons.
it's right
Here-
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you
here
take
you're
Rusted
just-
Lands, and there's 7 special ammo spawns. There's 3 in
Oh,
your
yeah,
spawn
there's
on
so
A
many.
side. There's 3 on your spawn on C side, and then there's 1 in the middle. And it's like,
Right.
holy,
What
that's
is
a
the
lot.
what is that Venus map that we love that
Shores
has
of
the
Time?
round?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shores of Time has the roundabout in the middle. Now you tell me if all of a sudden they stick the green ammo or the heavy ammo in there and watch that battle, and maybe T-Tunnel, and they move these to more central locations, I think it really would change the game a
Yep.
lot and for the good in the competitive situation, because it's, like you said, there's too much special ammo on the map
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
Right.
And,
Well, it also would dictate kind of how the different, like in Control, it would dictate how those points work, and they'd have to really
Yeah.
work on flows with, because like a lot of Pope said in his example earlier, holding A and B. Well, come on, Pope. We all know C and B is the only thing you hold in any controlled map, and so
Pretty much.
they have to really rotate the flow of battle to change, kind of how things go, and they'd have to be careful where they put those ammo packs.
Well, what if they
And
put it
let's-
on like a timer or something, like they do with
Exactly.
the synthesis packs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can only pick it up so often. That's true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, although it's there, you might not be able to pick it up.
They do
Right.
have they
So
do
it's-
have it on a timer, but it responds way too quickly.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
But
didn't
you
know
can
that.
pick it
Yeah.
up as much as you want. If you
No.
see one, you can pick it up.
No. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you're
I
saying like, I
understand
can't
now.
run around the map and pick up 3 of
Yeah.
them if I see
Right.
them. I can only pick
You
up
could-
one
you could
within
only
a
that
2
makes
minute.
total sense. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so something like that. Well, so like we said, Pocket Infinity got an upgrade. The Vex Mytho class, which is the only gun in the game now that has 323 damage.
So this gun I
they-
have a lot to say about. I
Well-
don't know if I don't think that whatever they did, the impact buff they did for
Yeah.
PvP is dumb, because after they nerfed it, it was perfect in PvP. I think it was
Right.
a mid to
It
close
was,
range
yeah.
weapon. It was a 6 headshot kill. It's fast fire. It was great. Now it's back to 5 headshot, and it's just too good again. Perfect example is I had thumb surgery last week and I couldn't really play, but I was just for jokes. I just went into Crucible and was kind of playing with the palm of my hand and using the Mythic class hip firing, and I got like a 2.0 KD just hip firing it at people.
Well,
it was
here's
a
the deal.
joke. Yeah.
I know they want, and they say exotics. Maybe they should have a level above exotics in this game. In my opinion, because there's got to be those weapons in every MMO that's like, that is the weapon that everybody wants. And, this gun, basically that's what they did with this gun. They said that this gun is going to be the best gun for the next raid, right? Fully leveled. It's going to be the best gun to go into the next raid is basically what they've said. And it's the only gun, 323 damage. And so I'm wondering, obviously a lot of debate about this gun is, are you going to upgrade it from Xur like we're going to upgrade everything else? Mm-hmm. And we don't know for sure yet, but I'm with you, Andy. I don't think we're going to. I think they're going to say it's 323 and that's it. You already have a chance to have it, so go ahead. I just got the Vex this past week, and everybody I think in here, maybe Andy, I don't even know if you were a part of that. You were.
I was.
You?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
I got my
get
seventh one that night.
Yeah, and I screamed like a little girl.
I hate you.
Yeah. Let's not minimize how big the reaction was from you two out. I need you to go into a little bit more detail about how that actually went down. So let's rewind and try that again.
And I'm actually going to give Too Loud credit if he doesn't edit this part out.
No, I won't edit this. Basically, what happened was we played this raid for like me and Hambone had been playing this raid with some savvy guys for like 4 or 5 hours. Okay, it's 4 a.m. I got to be up at 6:30 to get my kids out of bed. And I have been going after this hard raid, ever since we could even cheese Antheon, right? Yeah. I have done hard raid since I couldn't do hard raid, and then once I could do hard raid, I've done it every week since. And I the only gun like I've always really wanted is the Vex Mythic class, and I haven't got it. And then so I'm sitting there through this raid, and I'm beat tired, and I finally get the drop, and I literally start dancing in my house. I'm not lying to you. I have my A50 Astros on, and I'm like, oh my God, 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 guys, oh my God, guys. And I am freaking out, and I tell you, it was awesome, and I was smiling from ear to ear. And I just remember that night I laid my head down in bed, and I felt like I accomplished something in life. Although it was a video game, I felt like I got somewhere, and it was so satisfying. I'm not gonna lie.
Got a wife
I'm
and
sorry,
kids.
Nolxero, because you still haven't got one. But I ran it the next day, Nolxero, and I got another one. So
did you really?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's
So why even bring that up? Why even bring that up? Let me tell you all a raid story. I want to tell you all a raid story real quick, and I'll make it fast. I literally helped these guys finish the Atheon that night, and I was like, well, I want to run the raid, and I knew it was late, and I knew they were going to go to bed. So I was like, you know what, I'll just LFG a hard raid, and, I'm sure I can find some people that know what they're doing.
No, you invited me to that group, Troy.
Oh, it was terrible.
I tried to tell you, man. I tried to tell you.
Anyways, I got those guys through it eventually, through the
Templar.
Templar.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Got them through the Templar, got them through Gorgon, which is easy. Got them all the way to Atheon. We got through the Gatekeeper pretty easily, right? And so we spent 2 hours on Atheon, and I was like, dude, this group's never going to beat Atheon. There's no way.
2 hours?
So, yeah. And so it was like 5 o'clock in the morning at this point. No, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I had to be there because I didn't get off till 4, and you hadn't even started yet.
Yeah, I didn't want to be rude or anything, and I was like, I'm just going to stick it out until these guys kind of realize that this isn't going to happen. And then I got saved by PlayStation. A PlayStation update hit, and it kicked me out of the game. Nice. So I was like, oh, thank God. I didn't have to be a jerk or anything. I mean, kind of looked like a jerk, but I'm sure they got the update too. So I updated, and I LFG'd just Atheon. So I get in another group, and we spend another... I don't know. I'm sorry. I LFG'd, and I get an invite from someone on my friends list, okay? And so I was like, I'll go see what they want, see if they'll help me beat Atheon. I joined the friend, and I start going into something, and I'm like, what am I going into? And I, lo and behold, load up into the Templar. And I'm like, you are a jerk. And the guy was like, what do you mean? I was like, dude, I was at Atheon, and now I'm at the Templar. And so I ended up spending another 3 hours getting these guys all the way to Atheon. They couldn't pull it off. And then the next day, El Cahill came to my rescue. He had a group. He invited me in, and we beat Atheon on my second character. And I get the same thing I always get, which is the tiebreaker.
No, you didn't. Are you kidding?
Because that's my destiny, Brian.
You
That's
know
my
what,
destiny.
David?
That's
That is
terrible.
a marvel of engineering right there. That little sparrow. That thing goes
Well-
so fast.
Yeah, I know
Well-
you're all jealous right now because I have like 7 of these damn things.
I would just say this. I had said a few days before when Hambone didn't get anything out of the raid, when I got the Vex, I told him that night, I was like, what they should do is give you like a coin, just like they did in Iron Banner. And every time you get, every time you don't get something, you basically get a chest, and you can pick from these items that are for your character from somebody in the tower and go buy it, right? And so you save your coins and you go buy it. You go buy that item. And from my understanding, what Nolxero was telling me, they are actually going to have a smart system built into the next raid to basically say...
It looks like it's
Right?
going to be in both raids. It looks like they're fixing raids in general where it's going to look at it. It knows all the gear you have. It knows what you need as far as armor goes. And it knows like you don't have a Vex Mytho class. From my understanding of everything I've read, it's going to aim to get you stuff that you want. Maybe not every single time you're in the raid, but it's going to aim more to get you what you want. And they're actually adding another thing called a happy drop. And the happy drop is basically the more you run the raid, if you're not getting anything, then eventually you get to the point where there's a happy drop, and that's when you get something you truly want.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Right.
I mean, I have a lot of those.
I want them to add
I want a
Troy's
happy drop right now.
celebration to go ahead and just whenever you get the happy drop, they play.
Well, we said that
a little
before. You remember-
soundbite of Troy.
You remember the guys from Halo that we were talking about before, the grunts, and when they, they say "hooray" or whatever it was. Whenever that would be awesome to hear
birthday
that
party.
when I get my hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
I
you go.
just need to make an interjection real quick. Pope the chip eater is now shoving his face with bread and crackers while we do this, just so you guys.
Oh, that is. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't want to be the one.
I just wanted to point it out on air to the people who can't see.
Well,
You know what, Andy? I'm not going to watch your back in the raid any longer. That's it. You dead to me.
Well, the last of the guns that they touched on was the invective, reload speed increased. I can't believe they gave that shotgun something else it needs.
Right.
I know. Seriously.
The icebreaker, which is fine. I'm fine with icebreaker, patient and time, snapshot
That's
upgrade.
crazy. Patience and time is nuts, man.
Well,
Because it's an
yeah.
exotic with a lower zoom option, and that's always the thing. You can't change the the scope on an exotic. So that is a pretty nifty thing to have when you factor in the whole invisibility and all that good stuff. Third
Right.
eye, yeah, two thumbs up on that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, super good advice, and then truth. So truth, everybody loved this one, right? The magazine size gets increased from 3, which was 1. So
Right.
Exactly.
Which
Pretty
made
awesome.
no sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
pretty awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump over. The next part of that update, 1.1, believe it or not, there's more to that update, was the activities. And why don't Pope and Andy give us a little bit of information about this raid change and some of the other activity changes there?
I think the first thing is that really what was frustrating people is that when they fixed when they did some adjustments to the raid to keep people from cheesing Antheon, and they adjusted the code, I think that had some collateral damage, and that's what this patch was for. Essentially, they fixed some things that they caused unintentionally. And I don't know, Andy, if you've ever... you do the raid as much as I do, probably even more.
I've got some stories about this one.
Yeah, so one of the first issues they fixed was where Antheon didn't correctly send 3 players into the time gates, and there's all kinds of different theories about why that happens, but
Just random.
it's just random, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself with 1 to 2 players in the portals, and as many of you guys know, that's really difficult.
Well, this
I've
used to
got,
happen a little bit, right? It happened a little bit before they made the change where it randomly selected, but it seemed to happen a lot more
Not
after
as
they made this
often,
change.
though. Yeah, I've got 2 words for this, which is flawless raider, because that was the bane of flawless raider, was
Oh,
having
man.
one person sent in. It was a real pain in the butt. We did flawless raider. I think we did five runs before we got it, but this happened to us twice in the run we completed in, where one person was sent in. We're scrambling to get the gate open, get another person in there, at least to make sure we don't wipe, to some stupid thing inside the portals. And it's just like, we're playing flawlessly and we're playing flawlessly with your raid bugs. It's like, this is frustrating to say the least. So,
and you accomplished that, right, Andy?
Yes. Yeah. We did.
And do you want to? Who was on your raid team at that time?
It was Medicus, Watts. I believe it was the robot.
You made it through with Watts. He didn't die.
I know.
I know. That's
what I want to point out here. Watts made it through flawlessly.
The guy who still specs for Fireboard in the raid. So yeah, there you go. And who else was there? B-Shack 43, who is the Pope's favorite, I think.
Yes.
Pope likes B-Shack a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a couple others. So yeah, that was, but that was hard just to do that with that bug, and I'm glad that this has been fixed.
Wow, well, congratulations on that.
Yeah, and so I think that when we look at the there's some changes to the way the daily missions start and the bounties are done. But I'll talk about the daily heroic story. The destination materials now drop from completing the daily heroic. So you get you get a different change in what you get dropped when you do the daily.
Yep.
It's a few more. Before you used to get, just a couple different rewards. Now you actually get like a dozen. Have you seen more than a dozen?
No.
Like materials? Right.
No, yeah.
So it's roughly around a dozen materials that will. I think this is Destiny's one of Bungie's small answers to let's give you other options besides farming, right? Running around in circles and grabbing materials.
And I've talked about this a lot of times where it's just like, why don't they make farming the most efficient route? If you need Relic Iron now, you go farm.
Right.
But if you're just playing the game and you don't need it right now, you'll just accumulate some. And this is perfect. It's just,
because it's
you might have some in your bag.
Go and farm it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we just didn't mention my favorite fix, though, which is fixed an exploit where the Templar can no longer be forced off his platform. Huzzah. That's my favorite.
Yeah. And that was the one where people would hold the shield and throw the nades at the Templar and push him off.
Yeah,
we did.
I hate it.
I understand how you might hate that.
I hate it.
But after doing the raid 50 times on hard, you kind of just want the
reward
to get it done.
Yeah.
The raid should never be
agree.
easy. Pope.
You don't agree. All right.
I don't agree.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, Andy, but I definitely feel like that was a saving grace some weeks when I only had like an hour to finish the raid and I could get 2 hard modes done in an hour and a half. Right.
But then Andy might argue with you that a raid shouldn't be done in an hour.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
And maybe we should let Andy argue that.
Speaking of raids done in an hour, we got to do a Dads of Destiny DPS race of normal mode sometime. Let's see who does it first.
Before we move off the raid, Bungie actually came out, I think it was yesterday, and said that there's no plans for matchmaking in the raid anytime soon.
Right.
Well, and that's one thing that we definitely have that Pope wants to talk about here later on once we end up hitting up a little bit about Crota's End. But let's finish up here, and I'm going to run through it real quick, guys. But the vendors basically are changing, and Nolxero, if you want to tell us real quick what changes are coming to the vendors that came out of 1.1.
Yeah, one thing that I'll say about vendors that I absolutely love before I read anything about them is you can buy your materials now, and I love Bungie for that because I hated farming. But they reduced Cryptarch's reputation gain from engrams, which I don't really even look forward to my reputation gains. But it does say that they give an increased chance to legendary engrams, which I've leveled up on each of my character. I've leveled up the Cryptarch at least once or twice since this patch, and still no legendaries. But
and what level's your Cryptarch?
On my main, my hunter, it's like a 50 something.
What about you, Andy? What's yours at?
I've made and deleted so many characters that I don't know. I think one of them is in the 60s, but I've had so many hunters at certain points. So.
Oh wait, excuse me. Did you say you've had so many hunters?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Pope
what?
knows. Pope knows.
What? That's right, Hunter Love. I just want you all to know, all you hunters out there, we got your back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Are we
So,
talking
yeah.
about hunters right now?
We
No,
are talking
unfortunately,
about
yes.
hunters.
You're outnumbered right now, Pope.
You know what? I could be outnumbered by one hunter. Lay dancing, that's all that matters, right?
Oh,
Right,
Because
there
they're
you go.
invincible.
Well, and
The hate
and
watch
the other thing that the other thing, not to get too off topic here, but the other thing that the vendors did, Nolxero, was they actually now Xur sells the materials, as we mentioned, the exotic nodes.
Shard, yeah.
Or exotic shards for the final upgrades. And then what else did they do with the faction class items?
It says they are now replaced by faction emblems and the rank up reward packages from faction vendors. So I haven't done this yet, but I'm assuming you basically get emblems that you'll place in your by your character name, and you get those within the vendors, or I'm sorry, with the packages whenever you rank them up to like level 3, 4, and 5, and all that.
So you no longer, like, if you're a hunter per
Mhm.
se, since we're talking about hunters, you no longer get the faction cloak. Is that the deal? You don't use the cloak anymore from the faction. You use an emblem.
That's what it sounds like
Yep.
from this. I haven't really used it yet because my faction cloak and stuff are still on my hunter. Excuse me. And so, like I said, but I also haven't started ranking up any of these guys to see what happens as far as the packages coming in and getting the emblems. So I haven't really messed with this that much yet.
Well, the last thing that they gave us here is some technical things. And Hambone, you have been the master of technical issues here the past week with all your problems in the move.
Nonsense.
So it looks like Bungie might be trying to help you on their side as much as they can with no technical problems. Tell us what they fixed real quick.
Yeah, it looks like they fixed the instance of the B family of KTOs. Ooh, that sounds like fun, huh? That's a big part, but I mean, no,
I
I
hate
know it's
bees.
annoying. So,
I love
Yeah,
bees. I love bees.
oh, I don't.
I didn't
like
even
the
know this
sight
other
of it.
issue. I didn't even know this other issue existed because you know why we all play on the PlayStation 4.
Right, I did not know that
I
Xbox
play
One
on the
party chat.
Xbox One.
Do you? Did you know that they induced a slower frame rate?
I did notice that when I was trying to stream off of when I was trying to chat and do it.
I just
It's
thought it was the
because
overall
it can't
garbage of
handle
Xbox.
it.
I'm sorry.
It can't
No,
handle it.
Xbox is a phenomenal machine. It is a really good machine, and it is a good machine, and the game plays really well on it. And some of the unique things that I see on the Xbox is different than the PlayStation 4. I don't know.
Does it
I-
plays TV?
you guys might want to hate PS4, or hate Xbox and just talk about PS4s. But I think that the game can be
I
enjoyed on
don't-
both consoles.
I don't hate Xbox. I just think Microsoft made some poor decisions, and
I
I
agree.
think that they're on the uprise. I do agree with that. I think that they have the right people in play now that are going to make some good changes. So I definitely don't have Xbox hate. I just have a hate for some of the poor decisions that management made whenever I guess they were releasing it all. So
I've
Anyways.
never seen anything like that happen with the Capri Sun in my life.
Yeah, ever.
yeah, well, everybody, in case you didn't know, it does appear that perhaps Pope was violating a Capri Sun while I
I
was
just wanna
trying to
point out
talk.
That Pope talks crap about y'all drinking soda and birch beer, and he's drinking a Capri Sun.
He's having a kid lunch. He's eating crackers and having a
let-
Capri
Well,
Sun.
wait a second.
What are
Wait
you
a
eating,
second.
Lunchables over there?
Are you knocking on Capri Suns right now, David?
No,
Well,
he's
if you're
knocking on the fact that
like birch beer and root beer, why not? Like you said a couple podcasts ago, this is stuff my 9-year-old likes.
This
Or
is
your
actually,
seven.
I actually, went to the refrigerator, and much like any dad would do, when you don't
You
see
stole from
anything
your
in there,
child.
you steal from your kid's lunch, and this is it.
You're like, I'm taking the Ritz crackers and a little lunch meat, and you're screwed.
That's it.
That's terrible, Pope.
That's
That's
terrible.
Next thing you know, he's gonna be eating a bowl of cereal, Lucky Charms.
Right?
oh man.
That's mine
Well,
now.
Well, the other, as I mentioned, Deej gave us a lot of stuff, and I know we're covering a lot. We're going to try to run through this so we don't run too long here. But the most important one here, I think, that everybody's looking forward to is the Dark Below. And so the Dark Below preview came out, and basically this covers some of the stuff that he gave us and that the changes that they already made in the 1.1. But there are a few other things that he told us about, or he went into more explanation about. We have the new legendary gear that exists. So all the stuff in the tower is going to be replaced from all the vendors. And things are going to have new attack damage, new defense. I think one thing that some people have complained about is that we're going to be able to upgrade our exotics from Xur. And we have to basically rebuild them and reforge them, go through that whole process again. But what people are failing to notice is in a lot of MMOs, or someone said this to me today in Borderlands, for instance, they remembered once you got in a higher rank, say you really liked that gun you had, you couldn't use it anymore because basically it's obsolete. It didn't do enough damage. At least Bungie has created a way for you to take those guns that you do like, the Icebreaker.
That's absolutely it.
And move it forward in the game. And I think that's really awesome that they did that. So I'm happy. I'm happy about that. I think if there's something you like you, Hambone, that loves the Icebreaker, at least they're giving us an opportunity to take it forward. The other thing that he tells us here in the Dark Below preview is the new rank accommodations. So in addition to the Crucible and Vanguard marks, purchasing new legendary items will require a Crucible and Vanguard accommodation. So accommodations are received in reputation reward packages delivered by the postmaster upon receiving a new reputation level. So right now when we go up, we get like a package, right? We increase, and so now we're going to get this, I guess, this little accommodation. Is it going to be like a token or a coin? What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be something like that we open up and we find that we have some stuff that can be leveled up to level 30, I believe.
Is it 30 or 31?
It's 30. And then 31 comes from the new Iron Banner.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's either going to be 30 or 31, and I think you're going to use these maybe in combination with marks, or maybe it's just one commendation, a couple marks, or something like that to pick up this new gear. So
I like it.
Well,
I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
There's been some controversy from people that have put hundreds of hours into the game and say that's not fair. But the reality is that there's a lot of people that are going to pick up the game in Christmas. And you've got to give them a mechanism so they can be on even ground. And this is a standard business practice for getting people to be invested in the game. And I think it's very acceptable for them to find a streamlined way for players to get the gear quicker so that they can be caught up to the new content.
And also, the people who spend 100 hours are still going to be the ones who are ahead in the Dark Below, because they're going to be the ones who are farming hardcore for the level 32, 33 gear, whatever it's going to be.
Right.
And these people will be stuck at 30, and they'll slowly get up there. So that's just reset.
Right.
It's just
I think there's no reason for the hate that's going on right now regarding this issue. I think it's a very smart decision to keep people invested that are playing either at a slower rate or maybe have just purchased the game. So,
well, I'll say this: I haven't really bought a lot of Crucible or Vanguard items. Actually, most of the stuff I have on me or that I use are items that I got from either the raid or I found, and so I think there's a lot of people that probably are like me that don't necessarily buy a ton of this stuff anyways. So it's like, for me, it's not going to affect me that much. Is what I'm saying.
Right, but it'll definitely help our PvE guys. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it will. It will for sure. Especially the guys that only get to play, and our group is really known for this, is only gets to play, a couple of times a week. So this really benefits those guys. Obviously, he goes over the exotic shard changes, that you're going to need an exotic shard and you can buy it from Xur. What we already discussed about that. We go through some of the Crucible PvP changes, which is probably the biggest thing that he gave us here in this list. And Pope, if you want to run us down a few of these real quick, and Hambone, of these PvP changes real fast.
One of the biggest changes they're going to make is they've recognized that playing with a full party and playing against other teams that are good and competitive is a big deal. And when 3 or 4 guys quit out and the matchmaking service brings a couple more guys in and the game's almost halfway over, that's not a lot of fun for anybody. So one of the biggest changes they've made to the matchmaking service is they've made it almost like a mercy rule kind of thing, where if a team is so far ahead that it's ridiculous and not fun, they're going to end the game. And just the same, if a team is way behind, they're going to end the game. And I think that some of those slaughter rules or mercy rules that you've seen in sports are going to be applied here. And if one of these slaughter rules takes into place, the party will be returned to orbit. Team-based playlists, if one team is grossly underperforming, the session is dissolved in favor of matchmaking. So I think what would be fun is to actually find out what that number truly is. Take a team.
I'm sure we will.
Take a team. No. Take a team into the Crucible, like get killed to the point where we're just above that, and then bring it back.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
You know,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
And then make a video of it.
Yeah, you know,
and be
back
like legends.
From the brink.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the coolest point that they had in this was expansion 1 will actually include 2 new exclusive competitive playlists.
Ooh,
did you see that, Poe?
Excited about that.
So what will it be is the question. What will we have? Will we get it, Pope? Will we get something actually competitive?
And the real challenge will be, is it symmetrical? And I think that this game really needs to focus on the reward systems being equally matched between the player teams.
Well, real quick, the heroic nightfall changes real quick are obviously that the light level is increased to 32. So heroic and nightfalls will be increased by 2 levels. So they were 28, so now they'll be 30, correct? And obviously the 26 will be 28 and so forth. So everything's moving up 2 levels. And then the new raid, Crota's End, which comes out as everybody will be listening to this, and I'm sure probably playing it already, December 9th. Players at light level 30 will be able to lead a fire team into the raid. The rewards and the Crota's End will address some of the issues reported in the Vault of Glass. So obviously some of the things that we talked about, higher drop rate, the variety of potential perks. One cool thing is that I think it's really cool, and some people might not like it, is that any gear that you get in the raid, you have to actually upgrade it by materials you find in the raid, right? So it encourages,
Yep.
No,
yeah,
good.
I mean, especially people like us that all play, the raid as much as we can. It's really neat, and for those, and I don't know what they'll do. I'm sure eventually they'll probably, look at it and go, hey, how can we get people that don't get to play it as much, maybe some other gear. But we'll see when it works out. How that flow, really works. Overall, he just, telling us some more stuff that, that sounds like they're paying a lot of attention to the community, and they continue to and update stuff, and it follows on to the update that we received on 12/4/2014, which will be the last one we'll cover here real quickly. Nolxero, why don't you tell us a little bit about this last update, this part called Scoring Them Upgrades that Deej mentions here.
All right, so basically what he was talking about is how new economies are coming, and so he says Destiny will continue to provide new ways to evolve. Your existing items will still be effective in any encounter, which you were mentioning, and I think is a great thing because, like you were saying, most games will kind of just upgrade to a new expansion, and then your items become irrelevant as you get the new expansion items. The Dark Blow will contain exclusive options to level up. More powerful exotics will drop or be sold by Xur, which is, I think everybody will like that. More powerful legendaries will drop or be sold by vendors. More powerful raid gear will drop and more often. Thank you for more often. More predictable options will upgrade beloved exotics, which we were talking about with resetting exotics and stuff like that. Exotic upgrades purchased from Xur replaced weaker items. Exotic upgrade paths require much less time and material. I love that. And an upgraded exotic is more powerful right out of the box. So awesome.
Nice.
I mean, all the way around. It sounds awesome. And I know we've had a lot of podcasts, and I'm just going to say this real quick, that we've kind of dogged on the game or different aspects of the game. And the last couple of updates, I just give kudos to Bungie. They've made some tremendous changes in the right direction, and I don't know that can really be argued, although there are still people trying to.
I just want to see a time that Deej actually has an odd number of points. He has 10 points here.
I told you, man, he is all about it. He is all about it.
Yeah, he always continues to have a round number of points. Well, he goes on in this update as well to talk about, and what Pope already mentioned a little bit about the no mercy rule in PvP. And obviously he goes on to talk a little bit about the Iron Banner. Lord Island returns to the tower on December 16th. So that's the day before we have our event here in the Destiny gathering here in the DFW area. But man, I hope people don't skip out on our event just so they can play some Iron Banner. But that'll be back on the 16th, and then level 31 inventory can be earned by the winner. So obviously not 32. Right, but 31. So I think that's pretty interesting that they're not letting you get to the highest level, but they're helping you get to the point probably where you can run the hard raid when it becomes available in January, right? So we are obviously trying to cover all this for you, but there's so much more if you want to go read Deej's updates this week, and of course, there's so much information here about the new upgrade, the new update, and he covers the video that we got to see this week, the trailer, and even has something about LFG that's out there for those of you that want to come and read that on Bungie.net. So tons of great info. Deej really did obviously he's earning his paycheck right now, putting out update after update. But now we're going to jump over, guys, to a new section of our show that we are actually going to call What, Who, What? And this section is going to be about special people in the Destiny community, like Andy, and see what they're up to, what's going on, and kind of what their part of Destiny is doing. So without further ado, let's jump into What, Who, What?
Hey guys, I just want to introduce...
What? Who? What?
All right, Andy, so tell us a little bit about who you are and your involvement in Dungeon Protocols, and maybe what Dungeon Protocols is for those of the people that don't know out there, and what you guys will be doing, most importantly, for the release of The Dark Below.
Sure things. I just want to say first, thanks Popebear and Tulu for bringing me on, because
Shameful.
They're really great guys, and we've been having a really good time playing with you guys, so hopefully we can keep doing that.
Same here.
And I'm really humbled to be on your show. I'm not really a YouTube personality or anything, but I do a lot of raiding, and I do a lot of helping with other people, so I'm glad to be on here.
Well, thank you for your help in the raid as well, my friend.
Yeah, no, anytime. We love raiding in DPS. So as a segue, so DPS is Dungeon Protocols. Was formed by the infamous Remy and Watts from Warlock School, which is another podcast on the Guardian Radio Network.
Woo-woo.
And I think, yeah, and I think does anyone speak Space Turtle? It's, I think the best way to describe Dungeon Protocols is really if you like listening to Warlock School and you want to play Destiny the way that show goes, then it's the clan for you. If Warlock School pisses you off and irritates you to no end, you probably don't want to be in that clan, because we have basically one rule, and it's just the don't be a dick policy. And this is straight from Watts. Is basically we want an environment that you actually look forward to playing in. No jerks, not to have it become a toxic environment. So, we try to shy away from any sort of elitist attitudes. We try to make sure everybody knows it's really all inclusive. And also, Watts says that our mission is to push people off cliffs when AFK as much as possible. Which I started on our first raid when we did like a 6-hour run, and Watts went for a potty break over by the Gorgon's Labyrinth, and everyone had just gotten through it for the first time. He was down at the bottom, and I pushed him off, and he respawned, and he respawned right at the top. So he had to do it all over again. So that kind of sums up our group. I think really what it is that we are a super diverse group of people. We've got really casual people. We've got people who really want to raid hardcore. And instead of having a really single-minded kind of viewpoint, we really just include everybody. You know, there might be 8 of us hanging out in a party chat. Maybe 2 of those people are raiding. Maybe one of those persons doing Crucible, but we all commune with each other and, you know, try to help each other out. And but at the same time, also do serious raiding. And that's, I guess, brings us to our next part is that Dungeon Protocols is going to be trying to do a blind run the minute that Krozen opens, and we will be streaming it on multiple places. So we are attempting a world first. I don't know if we'll get it, and that's not also really our ultimate goal. I think really what we loved doing with Vaulted Glass was we did a blind run where we just had no idea anything about it and went in first week and got through it. And so we thought, well, why don't we put our, you know, glove in the ring there and give it a shot. So at 4 a.m. EST, Eastern Time, once the raid opens on December 9th, we will be streaming on the Guardian Radio Twitch. So it's Twitch at the Guardian Radio tag. That will probably be me. I think that'll be my screen. And then I believe Watts will be streaming on the Dungeon Protocols, which is Twitch at a Dungeon Protocol with no S. No idea why. I guess because Watts can't spell is probably my guess. But,
Nice.
And then there'll be a number of other people that will keep involved that might also be streaming from their Twitch accounts. So you have some different viewpoints and be able to see, you know, maybe a hunter gameplay, which is the most important, right, Pope?
Absolutely, yes. You cannot have a successful raid without a hunter.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And see some
Sarcasm
Warlock
in his
gameplay
voice.
and all that. So that was kind of our small announcement. But I think why Pope wanted us to come on the show is so that, you know, people who want to see a group of guys who spend more time making jokes about dicks and butts during raid than strategizing, but also still getting through it. That's kind of our
Right.
thing. So we're kind of a goofy bunch of people, but we also get through stuff. So if that interests you, then come check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think to sum it up, you guys are you're all really avid gamers. Is probably
Yes.
the best way to say it. Very avid gamers, very dedicated to obviously getting through the raid, but not to the point of where it's maybe unenjoyable. You guys are probably going to be the funnest people to watch and comical situation to watch get through it. And and so yeah, if you guys are listening to this on Monday when it comes out, you know, get ready to probably, you know, if you wake up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, they'll probably still be in it for sure, because I would imagine that this is going to be quite a feat. You know, at least what's your guess, Andy? Do you think it's going to be at least 12 hours, 15 hours?
So when we did it the first time, we got through it in about 6 or 7 hours, and that was with knowing really nothing about it. But we're also wondering, you know, maybe this time they're really going to throw something heavy at us. Maybe it'll be, you know, a lot harder, or maybe it might consequently also be easier because we have all these special weapons and gear now that we didn't have before.
And knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, knowledge. And actually that kind of also leads us to Pope was asking me about, was to speak to kind of maybe what we do to prepare. And, you know, we actually just today, a bunch of us were talking about, you know, our loadouts already, kind of what weapons we think we're going to bring, what type of character class builds we're going to bring. Like I was actually theorizing about a throwing knife build where you'd have kind of infinite throwing knives to get a lot of these melee kills and stuff like that for cheap. So we kind of do that kind of thing where we go over and bounce ideas off of each other, and then you know, leveling up, making sure your weapons are leveled up and things like that. And one thing that I've been doing is practicing on hive enemies, kind of trying to memorize AI and things like that.
Right.
So, you know, knowing how many hits you give a acolyte before he jumps behind cover, or et cetera, et cetera. So that's the kind of stuff that we do as a group with each other to kind of get ready as well.
Well, I think I'm really interested in seeing, like obviously the relic and the oracles was like the big thing in the Vault of Glass, right? I mean, those are the two things that were like a consistent thing that you saw through the Vault of Glass. So I'm really curious to see, like, because we didn't know what are they going to do in the raid, as first person shooter. How do you do a first person shooter raid? And then we saw it. So I'm really curious to see how it evolved, right? Like what they learned as a developer from that raid, and then what are they going to do to challenge us, and what's going to be the relic and oracle situation in this raid? What's going to be the constant thing that we continue to see? So
I can't wait,
man. I can't wait to I won't be up probably at 4 when you guys start, but I will definitely be watching you from work when I'm sitting at my desk in the morning. But Hambone will probably be up at 4 a.m. watching you. So
if I'm not playing myself, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Savvy's talking about trying to get in there. What'd you say?
Yeah. So, I said put your computer to the side of you, and you can just
there you go. There you go. I like it. I like it a lot.
Definitely, guys, catch it. As you said, it's Dungeon Protocols. Check out the Guardian Radio Network, Twitch, the Dungeon Protocol Twitch account, and you see Andy and his crew running like crazy and probably looking very tired and drinking all types of soda and birch soda and root beer and caffeine,
and
whatever.
Surge.
Yeah, whatever to keep them up for sure.
Can I give a shout out to who's going to be in the group?
Absolutely, tell us.
So it'll be Remy from Warlock School, who everybody loves. Watts. Remy's PSN is Nephalrem, and then Watts, who's Medicus. It'll be our best player, which is the robot, who some of you probably know.
Absolutely.
Dshek43, and either Road Dog FL, who's a longtime Guardian Radio, and I know Dad's Destiny listener, and he's a dad himself, or possibly Black Muppet, who is also you guys might be familiar with. So
awesome.
That's who will be in there.
Well, best of luck to you guys, man. I would love to see you guys do it first. With that said, let's jump over to Stories from the Tower.
And now it's time for Stories from the Tower. Stories that come from you, to us, and back to you. Be prepared to laugh a time, or 3, or 2.
All right, Hambone, what kind of laughs you got for us this week, buddy?
Okay, so I got a couple quick ones here from Bungie.net, and one that actually came in through the feedback.dod@gmail email. So I'm just going to share a couple of them. So as I was scanning the forums looking for funny stuff, I saw somebody put up a post titled Pro Tip. So I decided to check it out to see if it was anything of use. I click on it, and it's posted by Doc Savage, and he starts off and he says, "Are you having trouble with the jumping puzzle in the Vault of Glass? Here's what you do. Hand the controller to your teenager. Boom. That's it." So I'm like, I thought that was just a quick, pretty funny one because I don't know about you guys, but myself, I had a little bit of issue with the jumping puzzle at the beginning of the raid, and I know some guys still have some trouble with the jumping puzzle. So I just wanted to give him a shout out on that one.
Yeah, because you have trouble with the jumping puzzle.
I said used to.
I don't know. You're just proving Pope's point. You're just proving Pope's point here last week, where we just ragged on you. So,
and like I told him last week, and I'll tell him again this week, 1v1 me, bro. 1v1 me. So,
I'll take that.
Yeah, oh, you too. Bring it. You could all come get some of the ham bone. I got plenty of meat on this bone, so you can have some. So our next one comes from Have a Clue, who is a frequent community member who's always in touch with us. So he was actually sharing a pretty funny story that I thought I'd read out, and it goes like this. The topic of this story is teach them to pee. He says, a good friend of mine named Scott has 3 boys who were around 9, 7, and 5 at the time. Scott was always late arriving at church, and as we men are prone to do, we were giving him a hard time for being late. He looked at me in frustration and began to tell me of that particular morning, one I've remembered ever since. He and his wife were getting the kids ready and showered for church, and as his wife went back in the bathroom to make sure things were in order, she noticed that someone had peed all over the bathroom. Now, parents of young boys are used to some missing, but this was a real mess. So they lined up the young men and began the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody wanted to fess up at first. Then finally, the middle one stepped forward to accept the wrath. "Why did you do this, son?" Scott asked. "Well, Dad, I was taking my shower and I needed to go. So I pulled the curtain back and saw the seat was already up. I thought I could make it. I was wrong. And what was so weird was that once I started, I just couldn't stop. I don't think any got in there at all. Scott asked, well, son, you were in the shower. Why didn't you just pee in the shower? Pee in the shower? Ew. So that's the end of the story. I thought that was pretty epic.
The other day, my little boy, it's almost like it's very similar to that. My little boy comes to me and he goes, Daddy, I gotta pee. So we're potty training him. He's 2.5. And he said, he says, I say, okay, we'll go in there. I turn the light on. He goes in the bathroom. I'm in the kitchen. I'm cleaning the dishes. And he comes back and he goes, Daddy, I pee all over the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding? And I go in there, bro. And this brother, just the whole bathroom, just everywhere. Good thing I have tile, man. But this brother just everywhere, just flooded my bathroom. And he's smiling like, hey, I didn't know. And I had to explain to him, do not pee on the floor, bro. That is not funny, man.
That is not funny.
Fun.
That is kind of funny, actually. It's almost as good as your iRobot Roomba story.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh! Really quick, because he mentions this. My iRobot Roomba story is my wife comes home. I have an iRobot, the little vacuum that goes around your house, and we have wood floors, and it basically just stays in my living room and my kitchen. It's awesome, by the way, for anybody that doesn't have one. If you have a dog with a lot of hair, get one. It's amazing. Keeps your house clean. It's awesome. Well, it keeps it clean until your dog decides to take a dump on the hardwood floor. And then the Roomba thinks that it's a dirty spot, so it starts going over it multiple times.
Oh man.
And until you have crap all over your living room, bro. And when your pregnant wife comes home, because she was pregnant with my second son at the time, and she smells it and then sees it, bro, you don't want that phone call.
Oh, man.
It turned into a nightmare.
I bet.
And let me tell you, man, I had to take that Roomba apart because of how much I paid for it. I took that thing completely apart, one piece at a time, had to disinfect the whole thing, cleaned it. And now let's just say I lock my dog up in my office.
There you go.
Every day.
That's pretty terrible. That's just terrible. I got one more that I have to share because it's related to somebody from the podcast. So it's coming from the Bungie.net, and it's from Who Gotti. And it's a quick one. It says, my wife is pregnant and due next Friday the 12th. It's been back and forth by the doctors on inducing or C-section. We just spoke on the phone, and we're back to inducing again, apparently. And I say, don't try to be a hero. Get drugs. She says she was nervous about how much it's going to hurt and that she wants lots and lots of drugs. Then it just came out. I couldn't stop myself. I said, that's right. Don't be a hero. Get with the zero. Obviously, that comment confused her, and luckily she dropped it, but I realized I might be thinking about Destiny way more than I should be. So Nolxero, awesome. You have made it inside of somebody's operating room for their kid being delivered.
That is awesome. I feel part of his son's life.
Right now, he just needs to name him Nolxero.
Yeah. Guys, if you have a funny burst story as well, and I don't know what the topic's going to be for next week, but funny burst stories sounds like a good one, Hambone. So if you have a funny burst story, drop it on the forums where Hambone will have that, or send it to feedback.dod@gmail.com. And Nolxero, did we get anything else? I know Hambone read one from Have a Clue this week. Anything else that we need to pinpoint?
Yeah, we have just a couple I'll go over real quick. One that I liked, that one was brought up by Matt Private. He basically was saying that, and this is actually a good tip for people that aren't running multiple characters. If you're finding yourself running out of slots in the vault, he was basically suggesting that you create a mule character, which is just create a character, get him to the point where he can go to the tower, and once in the tower, you can offload, 20 armor, 30 weapons, and 30 armor onto this character to kind of extend what your vault can carry. And then it's just a little management, but it's a common practice in a lot of other RPG type games where you have a mule character. So it's a really good suggestion for anybody that's not running 3 active characters.
Absolutely.
Another one we have is from RJ, and he was basically saying great show, and that he found us about a month ago, and he's been, catching up on the show, and he was wondering about our thoughts on changes to exotics. And I think we went over that, so I don't want to get everybody to go through it again. But, I hope RJ appreciates what we went through on the exotics, and hopefully we answer any questions he may have had about exotics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a whole, we kind of figured out. And like I said, I'm just glad that they are giving us an option, and I think it's a consensus among all of us. We're just glad they're giving us an option to be able to move those forward in the game.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Well, as always, guys, thanks for listening. We hope you guys enjoy the show. Make sure you rate us on iTunes. Make sure you check us out on YouTube and Twitch at the DoD Podcast, or go to thedodpodcast.com for direct links. Make sure you check out Guardian Radio Network for tons of other great podcasts and shows. We have Warlock School, as Andy mentioned on there, the Guardian Radio Show. Ghosts and Echoes, that's on there as well, and TTL Party Chat. So definitely check those out, and you can also follow us on Twitter at the DoD Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at TwoLoudtx, TWOLOUDTX, not Tulu Andy, and
I think
and
it's Tulu.
Nolxero. No, it's not Tulu. And then Nolxero, NOLXERO, Popebear, Pope_Bear, Hambone, Hambondini, HAMBODINI. And Andy, how can they reach out to you or Dungeon Protocols?
Well, Dungeon Protocols we have our Twitter, which I'm dumb and I didn't pick it up, but I know you can Google it. And I don't have a Twitter because I'm old and whatever. But
your thumb is broken and you can't tweet, right?
Exactly. But you can always friend me in game. Andy V Clifford is my gamer tag on PSN, and you can friend me. Let me know who you are, and I'll play with you. So
yeah, make sure you're not a weirdo. Be like, hey, I heard you on the podcast. I'm not some guy stalking you, right?
Or make sure
you're.
Yeah, or make sure you're really weird. That's the idea.
There it is. I like it. I like
Make
it.
sure you like birch beer.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
well,
the
guys,
extremes.
Yeah.
Nothing in between.
Well, guys, don't forget to visit dadsofdestiny.net and register on the new forums. Check out all the other great things we have over there. Even if you're playing some other games, we have some forums for some of the other games that other dads are playing. So make sure you jump over there. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, see you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile.
And take care, polar bear.
See you later, Ralph Nader.
And stay loose, bull moose.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I'm from Connecticut.
Well, that makes sense, because you're from Connecticut.
Andy, you know what?
Bunch of weirdos.
I think people from Connecticut are a little bit off. I'm just saying.